Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2021 B season for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. It's the Sign Day Sports 300 here at Daytona for the Elite Racing League. It is exciting here tonight as we are being prepared, qualifying underway for 120 laps here at Daytona at the start of a new season. It is certainly going to be a fun one. The sixth race here at Daytona for this series, and it's going to be a fun one for sure. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Ryan Gavel, going to be joining me tonight, as well as Ryan running productions. He's doing double duty. But here tonight, we have a large field of drivers. Over 40 drivers going to be racing here on the Xfinity B cars, and it is going to be a thrilling action, expecting to see side by side, three wide, sometimes even four wide action here at the 2.5 mile course. It's 300 miles they're going to be running for 120 laps at Daytona. It's exciting to watch all this action here on the Elite Racing Network as these drivers still have about 40 seconds left in qualifying until our featured event comes and starts. Ryan, these drivers are getting set up, excited for the race. Everyone is getting themselves in line. But man, getting up front, it is going to be a fun one starting off a new season here at Daytona.
It could be, one of any way that we see these Daytona races, especially in this SMRI Productions Grand National Series. We get races that can go clean. We get races that can be messy. We get races that can go any which way here at Daytona. But they always end the same way, and that's usually with a big crash. But hey, you never know. We could get lucky here tonight. I have faith in these drivers. We got a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces, a lot of old faces in new places. So we'll have to see how this one goes as we see cars hitting the grid here to start off what should be a wonderful 2021 B season.
2021 B season about to start as we put up the starting order. Their drivers are gritting up for this 120 lap race. There will be stages during this race. Stage 1 going to be on lap 30, stage 2 on lap 60. There will be no fast repairs, and the fuel window these drivers were giving me was around 30 to 35 laps, so they're going to be right on the line of making it to the stage. Also, we're only going to have about 6 sets of tires, the one they start out with here tonight, as well as 5 in pit road. So the driver's certainly excited. As our pole sitter, going to be that of Scott Crump, with that of Daniel Martinez, going to be on his outside. Josh Robin to the row number 2 with Jacob Adams to his outside. Row 3 going to be that of Tyler Fody and Gerald Campbell with Jeff Green in 7th place, and also Joshua Personette going to be on 8th. Then we've got that of Trey Helms going to be on his outside in 9th, with that of Kendall Noah Player in 10th position. As we let the rest of the field go through, some of our former winners here at Daytona. You've got Joshua Personette. You've got that of Damian Leininger, as well as Trevor Elma, as well as Jeff Green. And our last season for the 2021 A, Tyler Fody, winner of that race. So we've got a lot of heavy hitters coming in here tonight. But Ryan, looking at this field, it's a big field for a lot of these drivers. There's 43 starting out here tonight, but right before the race, there actually was a qualifying to see who was going to be the last 26 drivers to make the field, and about 5 drivers could not make it moving forward. So already a little bit of disappointment, but I feel like, Ryan, we already know the big one is looming, and with no fast repairs, if you're caught up in it, that could be a very disappointing and a very disappointing moment just to start off this season with.
Yeah, of course, this could go any way. Qualifying matters the least at this track for sure. So we'll have to see how things pan out, but it could go one of any way for these guys on this racetrack. Anything can happen, and we'll have to see which of these drivers is able to pull it off, because it could be anyone. And yeah, full field of cars. Very excited to see that, as 43 drivers will be taking to the green flag, and hopefully we see a big field like this throughout the whole season.
Yeah, the whole season we are happy to see if that would be possible, as the field all side by side currently. And this is going to be something we're expecting to see all race long, is side by side action. Talked to some of the drivers before tonight's race and qualifying started, and during practice, Drivers were feeling comfortable and excited for tonight. With the fact that they're running with Xfinity cars, it means that there's bigger runs, bump drafting going to be utilized. It's different from the Cup Aero package where it's all about side drafting and working as a team. Here tonight, if you get a good run, you can win this race all on your own. Drivers getting ready. Side by side, waiting for the pace car. Coming out of turn number 4. Scott Crump, Daniel Martinez, your front runners. As the pace car pulls off, we wait for the green flag in the air, the pedals down, and the Signing Day Sports 300 is green, as it's going to be Scott Crump on the inside, Martinez to the outside, as they continue to pull along going into turn number 1. It's going to be the 90 and the 8 of Josh Robin having a major run on the inside as they go through 3 and 4.
Yeah, good start there for the bottom line. Scott Crump out front in a big way with Josh Robin pushing behind him in the 8, and reigning champion Tyler Fode right behind him in the 3rd position. Then Jeff Green running 4th as they make a move to the outside, trying to make the 2nd lane work.
Trying to get themselves up front, making some bold moves. Tyler Fode, the winner of the 2021 Daytona race, trying to double down for this year of 2021. He started off with a great season with that 2020 season, and he'll lead this lap. First lap goes to Tyler Fode, and showing you right there, qualifying, you touched on it, Ryan. Maybe qualifying isn't the most important thing. It's all about who you find and if you can get up front. Tyler Fode's got some very strong drivers behind him, of that of Jeff Green and others following suit. As we're hitting the backstretch side by side, Ryan, what are some of the major factors we're expecting these drivers to worry about?
Surviving, I'd say, is the main one. But you never know what really comes into play. Working with teammates, we got new, like I said earlier, new faces in different places. Working with teammates, working with guys maybe you don't want to work with, but you have to sometimes, as we see this field of 43 thunder out of turn 4 and across the tri-oval start-finish line here at Daytona. 120 laps again, long race, so let's see how patient these guys are. One of these guys I want to highlight that may not always be super patient is that of Jeff Green at these super speedways. Won here at Daytona last season in the middle of the season, and he's up front early in this one in the C2 Freight number 38 Ford Mustang. We'll have to see what he can do early in this one.
Yeah, and you're already starting to see some drivers trickling back, trying to find some places to put themselves. As I touch on that, already seeing some drivers thinking about going to the inside. Believe that was the 31 of Gerald Campbell trying to get out of the way of some of the drivers, but everyone just couldn't make the pass fast enough on him. As still up front, it's going to be that of Tyler Fode. Jeff Green now going to be side by side as Fode found the space to drop down low.
Yeah, Fode had one of the most incredible seasons in any league I have ever seen. Just unstoppable throughout all of last season here in the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. Pulled off the most dominant championship I have ever seen. His average finish, I believe, was somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd place area, and that's an unbelievable stat for a series that has such a big car count and such a competitive front of the field. I mean, he finished in the top 6 throughout the entire 18-race season, didn't finish outside the top 6 one time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the Elite Racing League since back in the middle of 2019, and for the last couple of years, you've been just seeing the competitiveness of the field growing more and more every year, as Martinez now going to be shuffled up, almost thinking about going 3 wide. I think he got a little bit of a bump from Jacob Adams that just irritated the 83 just a little bit there, but able to hold on. But that competitiveness and also just the quality of the field has been growing every season, and I'm excited to see for these upcoming seasons. You got a lot of newcomers coming through the truck side of things this season, and you know it's just going to get built higher and higher. But for Tyler Fode, it's certainly that consistency he had last season. Got to wonder if he can continue it on here for the B season.
So far looking strong, as there's Jeff Green, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit aggressive. Don't know if he got some help there from Michael Daniel Martinez in the 83, but he did move to the outside. Looked like he wanted to make 3 wide work for a second, but he thinks better of that and falls back in line behind the 90 of Scott Crump.
It just seems like everyone's getting these massive runs and they're trying to figure out how to not ruin each other's races by hitting them in the wrong spots. As up front, Josh Robin gets a huge run and he's got himself a little bit of help from his teammate. That's going to be Josh Personette in the 18, moving up into the lead. Joshua Personette and Josh Robin, both extremely quick. And for that of Joshua Personette, he won here at the inaugural season of the Xfinity cars. So it would be an amazing way to start out this season of getting back into victory lane at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely great start there as Josh Robin to the front of the field with Josh Personette. Also wanted to mention having some issues here
a
on...
little bit of contact going to be made. They're going to be shuffling in the middle, and they're wrecking already up front, and that's a major pileup. Everyone ducking in, and when there's a wreck up front, most of the field's going to be involved.
Major accident. Major accident there. Frankenfield, one of many that were involved.
Everyone's trying to figure out exactly how this all started. But man, it was up front in the top 10. Just a little bit of contact for drivers down below. And, oh man, that is a tough wreck to have, especially where these drivers thought they were staying comfortable where they were at. Ryan, did you find who was the first car to go around?
Not showing the correct intervals, but the positions are correct. We're trying to get a replay here. I saw Chad Frankenfield involved. We're going to try and get back here to get an instant replay of this one.
It all started up front in the top 7 with the 88 actually getting up into Martinez, it looks like. That's what started out the whole entire calamity of drivers being mixed up behind them. And man, that is already 3 cars in pit road, heavy damage, getting repairs done. That of Chad Frankenfield, Joshua Clark, as well as Andrew Rucker, drivers that we're used to seeing being very quick up front in these races. As we continue to see drivers now coming into pit road, going to be led by Scott Crump, and drivers staying out, going to be Dad Joshua Personette, Robin, and Jeff Green. As Crump and others coming in, most likely we're going to be seeing them coming in for fuel, as the whole entire field from 4th on back coming in. No one else thinking about staying out at all, and expecting to see a lot of the drivers in the middle of the pack staying in, trying to get repairs done. The big one striking here at the Signing Day Sports 300 on just lap number 8, and drivers are already seeing chances of winning this race going up in smoke before we even finish stage 1. Stage 1 going to be coming to us on lap 30 for the field here for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. It started the season for the 2021 B season for this series, as drivers getting back out on track. Got Scott Crump and the rest of the field able to get out there, and looks like some of the only drivers to take tires in our top 20 going to be that of Dylan Thomas back at 17th place. From 22nd on back, drivers getting repairs. That is almost over half of the field involved in this one. Absolutely disastrous for a lot of the drivers in hopes and dreams of wanting to win this race to start out the 2021 B season with the best foot forward. Ryan, this is crazy to see as these drivers keep on getting themselves situated in line. They're going to be setting themselves up, restacked. We'll do a rundown of our top 10. It's going to be that of Joshua Personette, Josh Robin, and Jeff Green all staying out. Coming into pit road was all the drivers 4th on back, being led by that of Scott Crump, Dustin Durer, as well as Tyler Fody, going to be your top 6. And then you have Martinez. Actually, Durer's now going to be going into pit road. So changing things up on where drivers were at. Fody now going to be in 5th place, Martinez in 6th, Matthew Weeks in 7th, that of Thomas Sherman going to be in 8th place, with Michael Goodman in 9th, and Dylan Thomas in 10th place. Thomas with those fresh tires, really not something we're used to seeing of drivers worrying about tires, especially this early on. I know that, super speedway racing, with how high the banks are, how fast you're running, you're not really worrying about how your rubber is going to be feeling until later on in a run when everyone's old tires. Then you'd like some new freshies so you can make some dashing moves, but everyone's tires still pretty equal here right now as drivers are getting stacked up, ready to go. Lights are off on the pace car, so it's going to be that of Joshua Personette. Josh Robin going to be leading the way, expecting both of these drivers to work with one another, either expecting to see that of Personette coming down low, or for the aid of Josh Robin to move high on this restart, trying to get themselves in line to help with one another out. But from 10th on back, we had that of got Michael Goodman, you got Chad Thornquist, and also that of Wade Nadel, as well as Ethan Burrell, Casey Hatch, as well as Richard Hines, Gerald Campbell. You got the 29 of Trevor, as well as Vincent Isabella, Brandon Key, and also that of David Westergreen. That's going to be your top 20 of where drivers lie. Everyone else back. A lot of worries on how their damage is going to be influencing them further along in this race. Pace car is off. And guess what? The throttle's down. Green flag back in the air. It's the signing day Sports 300 back green. Green flag racing. 11 laps into this thing. And it's going to be certainly a lot of racing to go. We still have a little bit over 100 laps until this thing's going to be going on. And looking at Joshua Personette, he's getting a major shove from that of Scott Crump. And now going to be dropping down low, making that inside line. More drivers in line, the faster you can go. The draft all about more cars in line, the less air and drag you're going to have to worry about, and the faster that line can pick up speed and take off. And that's why we're seeing the inside line really getting moving. But Scott Crump on the outside trying to make a little bit of side drafting moves to try to slow down as you got that of Crump, Martinez, as well as that of Dylan Thomas working together. Those are your three cars trying to get by that of Josh Robin, but Robin moves up, little bit of bumping through the tri-oval. Drivers are extremely loose there. Don't want to be making too many aggressive moves, but Robin's got to get down because you don't want to get stuck in the middle, the sucker hole. You will be finding yourself going backwards instead of forward. Through turns 1 and 2, still looking at the driver, scattering in between where they want to go, and already a little bit of contact, driver scattering where they want to be, and now through the grass, some of them in the back, as they're finally getting in line, fanned out 3 wide, is our top 3 that are able to move on, side by side, through 10th on back, are still trying to regain after that little bit of a scare that happened up in our top 10. Drivers now have to figure out how to get back in line and get back up to speed as our front 3 trying to pull away. But everyone's still within the draft to one another, so it's not like we're seeing a complete gap of where drivers are at. And man, already going to be seeing 13 laps into this thing. And little packs being built. We got our front about 5 in line, and then he dropped back by almost a second. That's where you find that of Daniel Martinez, as well as that of Dylan Thomas. Side-by-side action, as Thomas wants to be leading this group, and also getting a major shove by that of Gerald Campbell, who's trying to make his charge into this front pack. And then you fall back to another couple of tenths. That's when you find Scott Crump, who was up front in our top 4 at one moment. He's now in 11th place. He's caught up to the pack that is being led by that of Dylan Thomas, and 6th all the way back to 15th. They're in the line, they're in the draft, and they're trying to catch up to our top 5. Currently, that is going to be Josh Robin, Jeff Green, Tyler Fody, Thomas Sherman, as well as Joshua Personette. Working together is Dylan Thomas, Gerald Campbell. Campbell's right on the back bumper of that 0-3, and they've figured out how to get the draft in. Everyone now within the draft with one another, expecting a major launch from that of 10th on back, as they're all trying to get in line, but a little bit of side-by-side racing is Hines, as well as Key trying to make that outside line work, but with only 3 cars, it's not looking good for themselves. As we continue to see So we continue to see Josh Robin up front, Jeff Green working together in line, seeing all of them in line. And now, since everyone's caught up, that inside line has now slowed down, giving it a chance for that of Hines to get a launch for himself. For that, also Brandon Key and Scott Crump all trying to make a move to the outside. And now you've got drivers moving up to work with. That's going to be Joshua Personette and that of Gerald Campbell. Going to be a tow for Hines in the 87 and the group behind. They're now getting grouped up. That high line, getting more drivers together, and the more drivers on the high line means we get to see a lot more movement. Tyler Fode going to be making a dash to the high line, going to be blocking that of Joshua Personette. Now going to be charging his way up to side by side with that of Josh Robin. Tyler Fode trying to get back to leading this race and also wanting to make sure that he's in the top 10. Drivers got to make sure they're in the top 10 so that they will be moving on to the next. So they'll be getting those stage points. That'll be so important if you make yourself into the playoffs. So great to see his drivers continue on, as it is one of those things where drivers certainly are putting on a lot of hard work up front, putting on a show, finally catching up after that little bit of a scare we had 5 laps to go. Everyone's back in line and back to side-by-side racing. Josh Robin, as well as Tyler Fode, still leading our lead pack. And we're now in kind of that bit calm type of a mode where drivers aren't thinking about getting too aggressive just yet. But we're inching closer, just to 110 laps to go in the race. But we're also coming closer and closer to 10 laps to go in the stage. As the timing of the caution we had around lap 8, we only have 3 drivers that did not pit, that being Josh Robin, Jeff Green, and that of Joshua Personette. Those 3 drivers, they should, based off the pacing laps, should be able to make it on fuel to the stage break. Everyone else, we know we're completely good to make it to the stage. A little bit of contact possibly there. Jeff Green, gotta be careful. They're building up so much speed into the entries of these corners that they have to let off. And the draft is pulling these cars so much that sometimes you got to drag the brake into the corners. Jeff Green giving a massive shove to that of Josh Robin. Got to be careful going into these corners if we're going to be seeing any type of contact. Don't want to hit a driver in the quarter panel. We've already seen drivers, you hit them in the wrong spot, they're going to be going around. That's what brought out our first big one. And looking at the field currently, everyone's still in line, even with the heavy damage that we're seeing. Most of the field still part of the draft, still a part of this major line. It might not be a lot of side-by-side racing from about 15th on back, but everyone that's in our top 13, they're side-by-side, challenging, wanting to make sure they're the car in the top 10. Everyone else in line, recognizing, hey, this is going to be a long race. We just want to survive after the melee we saw early in the first 8 laps of this thing. As it's going to be continuing to watch and see how drivers are going to be attacking drivers of note further back that have a lot more damage than expected. The 24 of Jari Burt Patcher going to be one of those drivers heavily damaged, as well as Dustin Durr. Too much damage for themselves. They're kind of running by themselves. About 17 seconds back, it's the 24 for the 32 of Durr. He's going to be finding himself 30 seconds back. And then also that of Andrew Rucker. He is trying to work with Dustin Durr, but that's a lot of damage these drivers are working with. Scott Haney, also another one of those drivers, heavily damaged. And David, also Carpenter, looking like he might be having too much damage. He's back into pit road, getting service done. 3 wide for the lead, though, currently, as that of Tyler Fode. I touched about it, the sucker hole. Once you're stuck in the middle, drivers have a hard time of getting a major run. Got to get side by side, get close to someone. It's called side drafting. When you get to someone's quarter panel, it slows down that other driver. And right now, that's exactly what Tyler Fode's trying to do. All on his lonesome, trying to side draft his way to hold on. Doesn't have a lot of help. Gerald Campbell thinking about coming down and helping, and gonna be leaving that a Personette possibly. No, just giving a good enough push that the 40. And now going to be having everyone back in line, side by side. A little bit of an unknown there, as lap cars coming into the picture and drivers trying to get back in line with one another. So once they get up to that lap car, they can just go on the high line, get out of the way, and there won't be any issue. As leading on the high line, going to be that of Dylan Thomas. Thomas, I mean, this 03, what a charge for himself. I mean, for some of these drivers, for Ryan, he touched on it earlier. Qualifying wasn't the most important thing, and that of Dylan Thomas is proving it. Qualified back in 31st position, now has a chance to lead the race. Dylan Thomas in the 03, charging up on the high line, doing a great job for himself. Other drivers that started further back, that of Brandon Key, he started all the way back in 30th position. He's now up to 4th, trying to help that of Thomas up. When you find some people that you just know are going to be quick, but maybe didn't have the best qualifying run, you got to stick with them. And that's what we're seeing from Thomas and Key as they're pushed and shoved each other up to the top 2. But Key just didn't have enough space. Tyler Fody going to try to help out. And that's 17 to get him back in line. As Dylan Thomas on the inside trying to lead this lap. As they're coming up to lap traffic, this driver that they're coming up to is going to be Scott Haney. Haney's goal, get to the wall, stay there, as it's going to be 3 wide getting past the lap car as they enter turn number 1. Sketchy spot, getting tight, but we survive as the 3 certainly made our top 3. Have to be a little worried for a second there. Almost a lot of contact as everyone got close, jam-packed, but holding on. As up front, still Dylan Thomas, that of Josh Robin, the 8 on the inside, following suit with the 03. Jeff Green going to be the 3rd car in the line, following that of Josh Robin. Jeff Green running one of our major sponsors as contact going to be made. Key, Green, as they hold on, but a scary moment as Key going to be Stanley high side. No draft help. Jeff Green, though, keeps his momentum, builds it up, and he's right back to the bumper of the 8 as Jeff Green able to make the charge. But Green running one of our major sponsors here tonight, C2 Freight Resources. If you need to get anything moved, such as printers up to a giant freight, C2 Freight Services has got you covered. They've also have themselves a digital way for you to, as the customer, to follow along and see where your packages or your services are being moved. That's the EDI service. C2 Freights, thank you so much. If you want more information, go look up C2 Freight Services for more information on how to help you move everything that you need. As up front, still Josh Robin, Dylan Thomas, side by side. A little bit of wobbling from Jeff Green. You could just tell the anticipation for him. He wants to move, and he wants to go quick. On the inside behind him, going to be that Thomas Sherman. And Sherman, one of the drivers that is just been slowly, methodically making his way forward, side by side. Going to be 3 wide on the outside. That's going to be that of Joshua Adams on the high line. And Adams, he's been quick. He actually got the pole last season in the 2021 Daytona race. But right now, finding himself on the 3rd lane, no help for himself. For that of Adams, he qualified back in 17th place, but that 95 certainly still trying to make a cruise, is staying down low, getting out of the way. Gotta love when lap traffic recognizing they just don't want to be in the way of other drivers. That was David Carpenter. Thank you so much for Carpenter, who's trying to get back up to speed after being in pit road for so long. Jeff Green back to the point as we are now 5 laps to go here in stage number 1. Stage 1 comes to a close at lap 30, so the drivers certainly have to be thinking, gotta get in the top 10. And that's why we're seeing that 3 wide action for a moment there. Right now, currently, it's the 44 Michael Goodman as well as that of Josh Adams. They're going to be the drivers that are 5 rows deep that are going to be the ones that are leading that top 10. And they're the ones that are going to have a lot of pressure, as you got Kendall Noah Player as well as David Westergreen. They're going to be thinking about making some passes here. Also, Hines going to be one of those drivers and maybe pressure for getting inside the top 10. But don't look now. Side-by-side racing is picking up back in 19th place. As further back, they were all in line and now starting to feel that pressure. If you want to test and see how far back am I, and if I get a massive run, if I get enough drivers in line, how fast can we drive up through the field? Perfect time during stage 1. You don't have to be worrying about too many drivers getting too aggressive of blocking you, and you can just see how fast you really can be for yourself. As drivers right now in the 11, Matthew Weeks leading that top 18th on back of those drivers trying to catch up. to our lead pack of drivers. Up front, still that of Jeff Green, with Josh Robin, Dylan Thomas leading the charge. That's your top three right now, as they are trying to get themselves by that of Dustin Dorr, as well as Andrew Rucker, as both those drivers getting up to the wall, and both heavily damaged machines, as they're going to be three wide once again up front on the entry of turn one. And luckily made the pass quick enough. Ooh, Crump, little bit of contact. And also going to be watching out. There's still three wide door as well, as that of Rucker getting a little racy once those lead lap cars get into the mix of things. Crump almost got contact made, but they're three wide up front. It's going to be that of Josh Robin stuck in the middle. He's got Gerald Campbell, but they're going to be leaving that Crump on the outside, all on his lonesome. But it's going to be Tyler Fody working with Dylan Thomas up front, as we're now coming to 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Stage 1 comes to a close on lap 30, and they're doing their best up front. That's that Dylan Thomas as well as Tyler Fody, trying to figure out where do they want to block. Do they want to defend? Is it too early to be making any abrasive moves? As now, moving up into the top 10, it's David Westergreen. We touched on the fact that he had certain drivers outside the top 10. They needed to make moves now if they wanted to get themselves into the mix of things. It was only our top 13 that were there, but watch out. Here comes that of Colin Fern, as well as other drivers behind him. You've got the 68 as well as the 18 getting mixy behind, right on the back bumper of this lead pack. We'll see if they're going to be able to make any charge, as coming out of turn number 4, I believe we're coming to the white flag of what would be stage 1. As coming through the tri-oval, we're looking to see, once our top 10 crosses the line next time around, that's when the yellow will wave. Stage 1 will come to a close, and only our top 10 will get points. Also, it's important, it goes with the driver that's up front. They get 10 bonus points, and it goes down by 1 until you get to 10th place. That driver only gets 1 bonus point. If you're outside the top 10 at the end of stage 1, you get 0 points, as actually they're going to call it now. Stage 1 comes to a close, and it's going to be Dylan Thomas, Josh Robin, Gerald Campbell, Tyler Fody, David Westergreen, Jeff Green, as well as Thomas Sherman, Scott Crump, that of Joshua Adams, and I believe the last car getting points is going to be Kendall Noah Player in the 94. Stage 1 comes to a close, and we got to see a couple of big ones almost happen here after our first caution, but now we're reset. Calm down, get yourself some fuel, get some tires, and you're ready to reset for stage 2, another 30-lap dash. So we get to get halfway. Stage 2 going to come to a close at lap 60 for these drivers. So, giving them a little bit of a break, certainly still saving themselves for later on when you want to make some very dangerous moves. But biggest surprise for me has to be that of Joshua Personette falling all the way back to 16th. He was one of the drivers that was working with Gerald Campbell and Josh Robin early on, but just got pushed out of the draft, out of working with his friends, and really didn't have anyone that wanted to work with the 18 to move forward. And certainly could have been a strategy call also, recognizing, seeing things were getting real dicey up front. They were getting packed like sardines, and one little bump, shuffle, tap, could have caused another big one. And actually, gonna be getting word from race control. It was not an early call. It was actually a spin by the 3, Scott Haney, that was gonna be bringing out the yellow for this thing. And also we'll be getting an EOL. So right before stage 1, that's when the caution came out. We were halfway through the white flag at stage 1, so just came a little bit earlier than what we were expecting. And now we get to reset, see how things go. But the whole entire field coming into pit road, we'll see who will be the big winners and losers as they are getting service done. 2, 3 wide coming out of pit road, but it's going to be that of Joshua Adam, who's going to be winning out. Only going with fuel on this pit stop, as the rest of the field going to be going with tires. And Josh Robin going to be getting second out with Fody, as well as Dylan Thomas. Campbell, Ethan Reasoner going to be up to 6th position. Jeff Green, Scott Crump, Vincent Isabella, and David Westergreen going to be your top 10. Falling through the rest of the field, you got Kendall Noah Player in 11th, Joshua Personette in 12th, Michael Goodman in 13th, Matthew Weeks in 14th. 15th going to be that of Tate Lytle with Wyatt Nadel, who's going to be back in 16th. Richard Hines going to be in 17th. Joshua Clark going to be in 18th. 19th is going to be David Tooker. Trey Helmsley is going to be back in 20th. Casey Marshall going to be back in 21st. Ethan Burrell going to be in 22nd. Zach Evans going to be back in 23rd. Jacob Adams 24th, and finishing out your top 25 going to be Brent Jones. And looking at some of the other drivers that had to stay in extra time, Joshua Clark as well as Jacob Adams, they had to get minor damages as well as Burrell. But it's all the drivers from about 26 on back being started by that of Hank Steinmiller. Had to stay in extra time. Still, a lot of repairs that had to be made for the drivers further back. And coming back into pit road, going to be that of Ethan Reisner as well as David Tooker. Excuse me, not David Tooker, but Kendall Noah Player actually had to come back into pit road to get service done for themselves. As up front now getting stacked up, ready to go for stage number 2. It's going to be that of Joshua Adams as well as Josh Robin side by side. A little bit of new players getting into the mix of up front with some drivers up front that had to stay in a little bit longer than usual. Vincent Isabella, that of David Westergreen. Also Tate Lytle getting a mixie up front in the top 10. We'll see if they want to stay up here or if they're going to fall back like we've seen some other drivers go. But Adams and Robin going to be starting up front on this restart. And stage 1, we saw the big wreck on lap 8. Then we saw another wreck coming out on the white flag of stage 1 with Scott Haney going to be that driver being spun around. Still got a lot of racing to go as we're only 33, going to be 34 laps into this thing. We're racing to lap 60. That's when the end of lap 60 when we will be seeing stage 2 have our next stage break. Again, only the top 10 at the end of stage 1 and 2 get bonus points. And then after that, we race the final 60 laps and see who's going to get this thing done. As the pace car pulls off, the Signing Day Sports 300 at Daytona. The pedals down, and we are green once again. Josh Robin, also Joshua Adams, going to be leading their front row, taking us off into stage number 2. Tyler Fody is going to be on the inside second row, and the second car on the outside going to be that of Dylan Thomas, trying to get some massive pushes here, but I'm really liking the inside row right now. The first 4 drivers, that going to be Adam, Fody, Campbell, as well as Scott Crump, our pole sitter. Drivers are looking fast down below, and drivers on the outside, they're trying to get the major run, but it's going to take them coming out of turn number 4, when we're going to finally see the push that Josh Robin as well as Dylan Thomas are going to be given by that of Jeff Green. Green in the 38, third car on the outside. He's been antsy. You kind of see that 38 shuffling back and forth on where he wants to be placing himself. But across the line, going to be that of Josh Robin leading that lap, showing the run on the outside that you just need to be side by side at the door through the corner if you want a shot to win on that final lap. But we're only on lap 35. We're going to lap 60 on when we're going to be seeing this race coming to a close. Is up front still Joshua Adams, Tyler Fody, Josh Robin, your top 3. The drivers that are up front that have started further back, that of Dylan Thomas, noted on him. Started back in 31st position. Joshua Adams started back in 17th. Vincent Isabella started back in 32nd position, currently in 9th, in line, just cruising along. And for that 28 machine, coming off of a trucks championship last season in dramatic fashion, I got to call that race. And Vincent Isabella took a very risky call that worked out for himself and came into this session, qualified 32nd, and looking like he'll be on the outside, falling back, willing to lose ground, and kind of okay with that as Joshua Personette and Hines going to be making the pass. So drivers of note that qualified well but have fallen back Driver that qualified second out of Daniel Martinez going to be falling back to 21st position. He qualified in second place and kind of admired in the middle of the pack drivers that have a lot of speed back here, as you got that of Chad Thirdquist, the driver we really haven't talked about here this evening, as well as Thomas Fisher and Jacob Adams back here. All drivers that have a lot of speed. Jacob Adams qualified up in fourth, so don't be surprised to see these drivers back in 20th, back to 24th, make a late charge once we get further into a run. As up front, battling for the lead, it's going to be that of Adams, Tyler Fody, Josh Robin, doing a great job for themselves. As just got word, Thomas Fisher was black flagged, jumping the restart. So you thought maybe the one was in a prime spot with a lot of fast drivers. Now he has to make a green flag pit stop going through pit road. Disastrous for the one machine, but right now he's still discussing if he's going to be staying in that position or he has to serve the penalty. Still talking about it with the admins currently, but this could be a demoralizing move. But hey, if he falls back being one lap down, the drivers he's got to worry about is Dustin Dorr as well as the 24. More of Dustin Dorr, who's still running behind him, but is one lap down. So got to pick and choose when you're going to be making these mistakes. But the admins are being stern. It is looks like that of Thomas Sherman, excuse me, has to come into pit road, get that service done. Demoralizing to see for the one car. Penalties, not what you want to see here at Daytona, especially this early on. Could be trapping him a lap down way earlier than he wants as the one goes into pit road. Drivers that were damaged heavily, but still making some moves. We touched on newcomers. Well, back in 34th position, that's where we find that of Christopher Morris. Some of the newcomers coming into the season, we expected to see a lot coming in, and excitement was in the air on some of these drivers making some big, bold moves. But for the 51, he had some major damage, had to sit in pit road longer than wanted to the last time at stage one break. And now he's going to have to figure out how to get that damaged machine. Currently looks really good in the draft, just lingering where he's at. But I think later on in the run, that's when we're going to be concerned. Again, Christopher Morris back in 34th position. A lot of work has to be made if he wants to get back up front. Up front, some shuffling going on. Jeff Green able to make a move. Going to be leading that outside row and leading the race currently. And like we've been seeing for most of the race, it's up front. Our top about 15 to 12, 15 to 12, going to be drivers that are side by side, willing to battle, but then everyone else staying in line, saving their fuel, keeping plenty of space. So if a big one does happen up front, they've got space and time to react to get back into a position to save their car if an incident happens. That first wreck that happened in the first 8 laps, everyone was side by side, being so aggressive that there was no space for anyone to really dodge the wreck that happened going through turns 1 and 2. And also, the fact that there was a wreck in the middle of the corner, that's also a very tough spot. You kind of pick a lane and you got nowhere else to really go. As we're 41 laps into the race, we are now finding ourselves, hey, 1/3 in. Drivers are feeling that a little bit of an ease as we are finding ourselves still moving through. We've had 2 cautions, one being the big one, and then the other one being a wreck by that of Scott. Seeing some drivers as Richard Hines having blinking issues for the 87. He'll be staying high, trying to get out of the way. And as well as other blinking issues, got to be careful of Josh Robin up front. He looked like he had a little bit of a blip. But if you're blinking, especially at a super speedway race, it can kill your speed and momentum for the drivers that are trying to draft with you. As well, it can be a hazard. If a driver is coming up to you expecting to give you a bump or a bump draft and you then disappear and then come back, if you're inside of one another, there's a high possibility of a wreck happening, of one of your cars just being launched into the outside wall or into the inside grass. You got to be careful for those incidents if something occurs in those modes. But, we talk about wrecks going on. This field, 43 cars showed up for this race. Actually, more showed up, but about had 6, 7 drivers that could not could not qualify in time. We're not fast enough to move on to tonight's race. Hoping to have a spot next week, but with how big of a field decided to race at Daytona, the field's going to just, we're hoping that it stays this large all season long. And speaking of all season, looking at the season ahead, you've got Homestead as well as the Legacy Texas race. Those are the next two races. Darlington and Nashville Super Speedway. These are our first 5 races. Exciting how this season's going to start. I mean, you got that of Super Speedway racing to start off the season. You go mile and a half racing twice. Then you go to that of Darlington, the track too tough to tame, and then find yourself at Nashville, a little bit of Music City racing, and the Super Speedway race at Nashville, kind of a miniature version of mile and a half racing surfaces on the concrete, and that racetrack going to be all about tires. Excited to see how that race is going to go. This season, it's going to be cracked up. 11 race regular season before we get to playoff racing, and only the top 14 get to race in the playoffs. And if you win, you get to go in. So tonight, very important for drivers. If you win here tonight, your playoff berth is already open. All you have to do is just run the rest of the season, and you're going to be finding yourself into the playoffs already. So drivers keeping their eyes on the future, as Dylan Thomas blinking just slightly, and our top 12 side-by-side racing, well, now you can throw it back to 15th. Starting to see some drivers making some charges forward, and now finally deciding it's time to make the move. On the high line, going to be having that at 37, Ethan Burrell getting a massive shove from that of the 69, Colin Fern. Fern looking nice in the 69 and pushing well. Then behind them, you've got another large group of drivers trying to make their charge forward. You've got, some drivers of the 19, David Tooker. He's making a great move, having himself that of Joshua Clark, always repping the Virginia Tech on that 82 machine and making this now group. Once was only the top 12 side by side. Now you can throw all the way back to 21st. We've got drivers side by side. This is kind of the scenario we were in on lap 8, where drivers were so close to one another, and it was a wreck up front in the top 8, where we saw the rest of the field collected, and they're already wrecking in the back, as it's going to be that of Helms as well as others. Drivers flipping on top of one another. It's the 88 on his roof, spinning like a top, and touched on it. It looked exactly like the scenario we were seeing for lap number 8, and it hits once again here tonight in similar cars. Going to be involved in this thing, and having to take the tow is the 8 as well. As looking at other drivers, they're just gonna have to putter along and hope they can get to pit road, as the second big one has struck here at Daytona. Everyone was playing nice until everyone got it side by side and decided it was time to get racy, which was kind of an odd time. I know that stage 2 is right around the corner. Lap 60 is where the drivers were marking to be there, but maybe 10 to 8 laps to go. Maybe we start making that charge moving forward. But I think everyone recognized, if one of us is going to the outside and wants to go, I've got to be on this train, because if I find myself too far back, I'm going to be stuck with a wall of cars in front of me and not going to be able to really move forward. So saw the drivers getting a little bit too antsy, and the second big one hits. Third caution of the day. No EOL is going to be given race control, deeming it a racing incident. So no incident. No one's going to be deemed with any EOL penalty, end of the line penalty. That's what EOL stands for. So everyone going to be staying in their positions, but I think we're expecting some drivers thinking about possibly pitting here, top off with fuel. We're expecting most of the field just stay out, don't lose any track position. To say that though, up front, our leader, Joshua Adams, into pit road, and everyone else following suit into pit lane. And as pit lane service is going on, I'm going to rest my voice. We'll just be quiet for a little bit, watching the pit stops going on. We'll be back once they hit the backstretch. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Elite Racing League 2021B SMRI Productions National Grand National Series here for the Signing Day Sports 300 here at Daytona. Start of a new season. My name is Sam Zire, running productions, Ryan Gavel, as we are ready for more racing action. Our third caution of the day, our second big one, not as big as our first wreck, but certainly big enough to put a lot of drivers into pit road getting damage repairs, as into pit road was really from that of 20th on back, being led by that of Daniel Martinez, one of the drivers that was extremely quick earlier here tonight and had a great qualifying run for that team. Qualified in second position, so close to getting the pole, but just could not get it. But up front, it's going to be that of Hank Steinmiller, Ryan Barbary, as well as those are the two drivers that did not pit for fuel or tires, but everyone else behind went with fuel pit stops until you fall back to that of Colin Fern, David Tucker, as well as Brandon Key. Those drivers deciding to get themselves some tires on this stop. Drivers had 5 tires in pit road to start of the race, so you've got some picking and choosing to do early on in the race if you feel like you need a little bit extra grip, if you want to make some dangerous moves up front. As the drivers are stacked up and ready to go, I want to give a shout out to another one of our amazing sponsors that helped the action happen, that of Signing Day Sports. Signing Day Sports is going to be the headline sponsor for tonight's race. Signing Day Sports is a platform that allows parents and players to control their own recruiting. It launched back in 2020 and currently has over 20,000 players on their platform. Signing Day Sports is for you, the player, or you as a parent, to help your players be able to get a program to manage themselves, and also helps yourself scout and recruit yourself to other platforms. There's over 500 colleges, for that of soccer, basketball, and also that of baseball, softball. And we're so excited to be seeing everyone signing on. Football signings happened recently for a lot of these players, getting excited for college right around the corner. So go get yourself on Signing Day Sports so you can help yourself get to the next level. Thank you so much to Signing Day Sports for being our headline sponsor for tonight's race. As the pace car pulls off, drivers wait the throttles down. Racing that of Signing Day Sports 300, green one again, once again, and that of Hank Steinmiller. Ryan Barber going to be leading the charge up front, as drivers going to be having themselves an 11-lap little stint here to figure out who's going to be in the top 10. Top 10 at the end of stage 2 get bonus points, so you got to make sure that you're up there. But we're starting to see that outside line getting a great run, as here comes that 46 being also pushed by that of Tyler Fode, Scott Crump, Dylan Thomas. We've seen those drivers be quick on the high line, but more drivers now falling down and pushing that of Hank Steinmiller. Steinmiller just trying to get the 63. He's won the Daytona race and plenty of other series, and he is looking to get his first win for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series here at Daytona. And the 63, certainly this is an odd call for himself to not pit. Same goes to the 46 of Ryan Barbary, but hey, sometimes you need to get yourself up front, get a little bit of taste of that fresh air. For that of Hank Steinmiller, he qualified all the way back in 41st position, didn't even qualify. One of the last drivers in the back of the pack, and because of the choice to stay out, he's now leading here for the Signing Day Sports 300. Hank Steinmiller trying to hold on, but through the middle, here comes Josh Robin. That also Scott Crump trying to make the way, as we're about to be 3 wide, a couple of rows deep, 2 rows deep, as that of Barbary able to fall down in front of that Josh Robin, but it's going to be Tyler Fode as well as Dylan Thomas on the outside making their moves, but it's going to be a slicing, dicing further back in the pack. You got to pick your lane quick. You've got to be decisive. If you find yourself slicing back and forth and making a late decision in these packs, you could be the next cause of a big one. Jeff Green, got to be careful. He's getting close to the apron, and if you touch the apron, it can push you back up into other drivers. Adams, what a move coming up, trying to get up front, finds enough space, and now going to be leading that middle pack. getting a great push from the 46 of Barbary. And now up to the lead. Here comes also, oh no, Josh Robin, Jeff Green, contact made. They're able to hold on for a little bit, but no, spinning going around as hard contact for Key, as well as others. That of David Tooker, probably the biggest contact for himself. And just like that, another caution, another big one. And even more drivers that weren't involved in other wrecks involved in this one. All started up front with Josh Robin, who was doing his best to run in the middle. I'm wondering if it looked like there was contact between Josh Robin and Jeff Green. We will not be having the replays tonight, I'm sorry for that, but looked like there was some slight contact coming into the corner where Jeff Green drifted up slightly, got into Josh Robin, got the 8 out of sorts, and then everyone else behind tried to avoid, fanned out. There just wasn't enough space, and drivers found themselves spinning. As now we'll have to wait and see who is going to be left in this race. First official DNF that has left the session, that's going to be that of David Carpenter in the 71. He is looking to be done for the night. Tried multiple times to get repairs done, but the 71 just going to call it a night. Chad Frankenfield's been in pit road for over 44 minutes. He was able to run the first couple of laps, but was part of that first big one on lap 8. And Chad Frankenfield's been in pit road. Trey Helms, as well as Jacob Adams, both have been in pit road since that last caution. And I don't know if we're going to be seeing them back on the racing surface, but Scott Crump coming into pit road, trying to get service done. Jeff Green and many others behind coming to get service done. There is a lot of heavily damaged vehicles, and I'm not sure if we're going to have too many cars that are going to be pristine when we come to the end of this race. But right now, Joshua Adams, that of Steinmiller, Fody, Barbary going to be staying out, as well as that of Thomas, Wester Green, Clark, Nadal, as well as Marshall. And you also can throw in that of Hatch into the mix of things. Top 10 drivers did not come into pit road, got to be staying out. Ethan Reisner looks like he might have missed pit road for the 86. So Joshua Personette going to be the first of the drivers who came off to top off with fuel. And Zach Evans, as well as Andrew Rucker, Daniel Martinez, as well as Kendall Noah Player, Matthew Weeks, Trevor Ilum, as well as Gerald Campbell and Scott Crump, going to be your top 20 of drivers. But Campbell, Crump, they had to get repairs done, which with aero damage here at Daytona, you might be able to stay behind someone in the draft. But once you start to try to lead a pack of drivers, you're going to be losing ground, losing a lot of speed. As more drivers going to be parking it for the day, Rashad Kozlak going to be one of those drivers, as well as Jacob Adams. It's just heavily too much damage for a lot of these guys. And the more big wrecks we have like this, the more we're expecting to see more drivers DNFing and not be able to finish out this race. Drivers that are still in pit road, getting a lot of service done, going to be that of, I believe, Michael Goodman just getting out of his pit stall. Thomas Fisher still in pit road. Richard Hines still in pit road. As well as Trey Helms still in pit road, getting service done. Back into pit road, it's going to be Ethan Reisner, who missed his pit box, as well as Joshua Personette. Pace car lights are off. We're going to be going this time by. Big props to that of Ryan Gavel for coming in very last minute to be up running productions here tonight. So big props to Gavel for being up in the booth and working with me. And man, what a night it is. The start of a new season for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. But really, tonight is the start of all the series in a way, as this is the first official race scheduled points that are going to these drivers for the 2021 B season. Then we've got ourselves with the Cup cars going to be heading to Daytona, already qualified, already set up for that race tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. Then on Sunday night, the trucks, they're going to be having their season starting. So the whole entire, you've got that Xfinity cars here for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. You've also got the Cup cars on Wednesday and the trucks on Sunday, Lots of racing action here on the Elite Racing Network, and there's plenty more that we're getting prepared to show you later on in the year as we are excited here on ERN. Ace car coming into pit road. Pace car's off, green flag in the air as the Signing Day Sports 300. We've got ourselves only 5 laps to go here in stage number 2. We are racing to the end of lap 60. If we can get to lap 60, end of lap 60, that's when we'll be having stage 2 come to a close. Only the top 10 will get points. So those that decided to stay out, they were thinking about those bonus points. We want to make sure we're in that track position, which is something we really don't think about very often. But with the amount of drivers that we have here, you want to make sure you're in a prime spot. As a lot of the drivers that are further back, I see Josh Robin trying to figure out how to make that third line work. He's got Jeff Green in line, and they're going to be trying to push each other, but they're all the way back in 20th position. A lot of work needs to be done, and they've got a lot of heavily damaged drivers in front of them that could be causing some issues later on in this race. Looking at some of the drivers that are running right now, that I'm just baffled that they're still running well. Daniel Martinez is still running up front and keeping up with some decent pace with no front clip. He is still out here racing. Martinez going to be back in 12th position, but up front, it's Tyler Fode. Now, so that of Adams, Steinmiller, Barbary, Thomas, your top 5. They're thinking about going 3 wide further back. They're still in line. Josh Robin leading that group of drivers. And you've also got that, I believe, looking to see who that is. That's going to know a player that's leading that third lane with Josh Robin and Jeff Green following suit. They just need maybe 1 or 2 more drivers in line. And that third lane's going to be moving pretty quick. Maybe they need to drop back in line with that middle row. And then finally, they can start to make a charge forward. But it's going to take a lot of work for them to do that. 3 laps to go here in stage number 2. Tyler Fode, I think his goal has to be just stay low and hope that that inside line is strong enough to hold on the rest of the field, but he's going to be ducked in the middle. And we've already seen Fode get stuck in the sucker hole in the middle pack. You don't want to be stuck there, as Adam's going to be ducking it high. Driver's going to be going low. Got to be careful. You don't want to be too low down there. Driver's going to be checking up, slowing down, which is going to be hurting the entry of these corners, and already dropping back, having issues. I believe that is Zach Evans, who is extremely slow. The 6 losing a lot of ground, and now going to be splitting up that lead pack, giving that to Hank Steinmiller now a shot to be leading this. Tyler Fode moves up late block. That of Westergreen now going to be following suit for the 22. Side by side, 2 laps to go in stage number 2. Coming through turns 1 and 2, still side by side. You can see the intensity level rising. It's about being in the top 10 at the end of stage 2. You know, drivers going to want all the bonus points that they can get, but you got to watch out for that Dylan Thomas. We've already seen some drivers that were blinking, bringing out some wrecks earlier on. And Dylan Thomas, got to make sure he can clean that up. Don't want to be bringing out too many yellows, especially with where the drivers are running right now. Side by side and already cutting their way through the field. Josh Robin and co with that of also Martinez and also Scott Crump able to move up so well. Kendall Noah player now up into the top 10. You're just seeing those drivers that were back around 20th place. They've made those moves, and also with the little bit of a mix-up that happened with the 6, Zach Evans, it's giving out space even more for drivers to make that outside line work. We've already seen drivers think about going 3 wide. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it here on the backstretch. White flag at stage number 2. Who's going to get it done? It's Fode as well as Hank Steinmiller side by side as they go into turn number 3. Turn number 3, you find that of Hank Steinmiller. Great run for himself. He's got Ryan Barbary on his rear bumper. A little bit of sliding. They're drifting. They're going around. Contact made as they're coming to the white of stage 2. And that's not the way you want to end stage 2 at all as they come across the line. Somehow Daniel Martinez is going to be getting 10th place in bonus points for stage 2. Oh, man. Looked like back around the 14 car of Cassie Hatch as well as Kendall Noah player. They were the ones that made contact initially, as well as that of Joseph. I believe Joshua Clark also was another driver that got a little bit sideways. But then coming down, again, we do not have replay. I'm just describing what happened. Coming back down, the 64 was then hit. That is Andrew Rucker, who had nowhere to go, and he went into the inside wall for the 64. Hard contact. He already had major damage. This could be a race-ending incident for himself. But Hatch just gotta feel bad for Hatch. Wasn't able to get through it cleanly, and drivers had to go through the grass, and it looked like it was only about a 4-car incident, even with how bad it looked initially, as they were coming to the white flag. I mean, they were coming to the checkers of stage 2. Stage 2 has come to a close, and it's going to be Hank Steinmiller going to be leading the charge with Tyler Fode in second place. Ryan Barbary, that of David Westergreen, Joshua Adams, Dylan Thomas, Wyatt Nadal, as well as that of Joshua Clark, Kendall Noah Player, and Daniel Martinez going to be your top 10 of the drivers that get bonus points. And again, for Martinez, he's got no front clip, which means he might be getting more air into the engine. You're hoping that maybe that's going to help him not blow up, but it's going to be a question in everyone's minds. If they see that front bumper of the 83, do you really want to be behind him, pushing him, just in case you see someone blow up, which is going to be a factor to watch out for later on in the race. Stage 1, Stage 2, we have come and gone. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to race and see to the end of this thing. As they come into pit road, we're going to rest our voices. We'll be right back. And once they get to the backstretch, but great racing action we've seen so far as pit road getting busy. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here tonight on the Elite Racing Network for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. It's the first race of the season with the Signing Day Sports 300 here at Daytona. Stage 1 and Stage 2 have come to a close, and now it's time to see how the drivers are going to be reacting from the rest of the race. You got less than 60 laps to try to figure out how to stay calm and finish out this race. We do know the drivers have to make at least one stop from here on out to make it to the end. And honestly, with the way we've been seeing these races going, with the way that they build up, with a lot of side-by-side racing, we see anyone more than our top 12 side-by-side, you got a feeling someone's going to be making a move that could be putting the next big one. We've seen 3 major wrecks so far. The biggest one had to be our first wreck of the evening that put almost over half of the field already in a damaged state. And then we had our second wreck that was seemed to be just the 3 of Scott Haney. Then we had our third big one that found multiple cars flipped upside down. And now we had another wreck with about 4 drivers involved with that one, coming to the close of Stage 2. And pit road, it was busy, that's for sure. But it's going to be 2 drivers staying out once again. It's going to be Colin Fern, who's got a little bit of damage repair that he had to do on his last pit stop 11 laps ago. And then also that of J.I. I am going to be struggling. I want to let you guys all know that with these new drivers, some of the names I will butcher, and I just want to say right now, I'm so sorry if I do. As Bert Percher is going to be in second place for the 24, as well as Tyler Fode in third. Fode leading the drivers that got themselves with at least getting fuel tops off. And then all the way back in 10th, we find that of Joshua Clark, who decided to go with just 2 tires on his stop. And then 11th on back, all took 4 tires. Hank Steinmiller, though, missed his box by a mile, coming into that first pit stop after stage 2. Then he had to come back in again, topped off once more. He'll be all the way back in 27th position, where he finds that of Brandon Key and other drivers heavily damaged. We could throw more drivers into the mix of DNFs, though, as it's looking like I thought I saw someone DNF. I believe, yeah, that's Andrew Rucker that has parked it for the day for the 43. He was part of that major contact on that last incident coming to the close of stage 2. Pace car lights are off. We're going this time by, and the pace car rolls onto pit road. Newcomers up front. It's the 69 and the 40, as well as, the 24 is, oh my goodness, what a launch on the inside. No one got moving on the outside. A lot of drivers getting black flags, but they're being cleared immediately after the absolute stunning restart we saw from the inside line. And kind of just sitting still with the drivers on the outside. A little bit of wheel spin we might have seen there from the 24, as now drivers getting in line side by side and trying to attack. As we're past halfway, Tyler Fody, that of Dylan Thomas, Kendall Noah Player, Colin Fern, David Westergreen, that of Clark, as well as Martinez. Martinez again, no bumper still, but still chugging along for himself. Gerald Campbell, Matthew Weeks, your top 9, with Ethan Burrell back in 10th. And talked about drivers that we're going to be having that were further back in the field in the middle of stage 2. We knew they were going to be moving forward. Weeks, Burrell, they were some of those drivers we were talking about. Jeff Green, Mr. Aggressive, he's up to 12th now, and Jeff Green, we know he's going to be wanting to get up front. And also drivers that I touched on all the way back at 34th at one moment when we talked about him last, out of Christopher Morris, now going to be back in 13th position. As a little bit of pick and choosing where you want to go up front. Tyler Fody and Dylan Thomas, as well Colin Fern, those drivers have been working together all race long. They're going to continue to do so. It's nice when you got familiar faces that you love to work with all in line, and that is a power team of our top 3 currently. Rest of the field, they're kind of going to be sorting out where they want to go, but because of the kind of poor start we saw on the outside line, it jammed everyone up, giving everyone a lot of space, which is, in one thing, good to see. There's space, you don't have to feel like you're rushing, but once we see everyone build up that speed, catch back up to that lead pack, that's when we might be seeing a little bit of damage and danger going on for themselves. As up front, still our top 3, Tyler Fody, that of Dylan Thomas, Colin Fern. And this is just the start of the season, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty more racing to go, as 2 more drivers can add to the DNFs that we've seen here tonight. Tate Lytle, didn't really get to see the 2 challenging up front like we would like to see. This is not the start he wanted. Richard Hines, another driver that has DNF'd and parked it for the day, leaving us with a total of, I believe, 34 drivers still on track running, and 33 still on the lead lap. But Brandon Key, he is extremely off pace, heavily damages that 17. Expecting him to go back a lap down, as should leave us back then with 32 drivers, but half the field majorly damaged, and the other half up front, side-by-side racing, and willing to get aggressive. Gerald Campbell now going to be leading that outside lane, as we are 68, coming to 69 laps into this thing. It's the Signing Day Sports 300 here at Daytona. My name is Sam Dyer, giving you the call, and running production is going to be that of Ryan Gavel here for the Elite Racing League on the Elite Racing Network for the SMRI Grand National Series. It's this 2021 B season. Yeah, the A season has come to a close, but the B season, just in a couple of weeks, we are finally here. The new season is upon us, as Tyler Fody trying to defend his 2021 A season Daytona win. He started off his 2021 A season with a bang back at Daytona. Certainly wants to capitalize once again, being up front, keeping that nose out of trouble the best that he can. It's everyone else behind him. That's been half of this group's been a little bit of a jostling here or there, a little bit of contact in the middle of the pack. And other drivers just trying to keep their nose clean, knowing that it's so important to be and have a shot with 5-10 laps to go if you're up in the top 20, you still have a shot to win this event. Well, we went from a pack of 9 to 8 to now we've got ourselves a much larger pack that has fallen all the way back to 16th, where Matthew Weeks lies just puttering along, feeling it like he's on a Sunday drive all the way back. 19th, watching all the drivers side by side getting themselves into trouble right now. I mean, that outside line certainly trying to build up more cars, get that run that they want to have. Kendall Noah player, got to be careful as he's trying to get on the back bumper of that of Gerald Campbell. And as we continue to watch and see this lead pack making their charge forward, drivers further back in 17th, that's where we find that Chad Thornquist, who has some drivers that we've seen up front being led by that of Joshua Adams, as well as the 24. And this second pack that we're starting to see being built up, these are the drivers that have been really caught up with a lot of messes so far this race. But credit to them for still sticking out, getting the damage repair, and still fighting on, knowing that there's a lot of racing and most likely still the lingering next big one for our front pack with the way they're racing right now. Still side by side, not giving an inch. But drivers still picking and choosing how they want to go. And then there's the third pack of drivers that is being led by Ryan Barbary back in 24th position. These are the drivers that are extremely damaged and have a lot of front end, rear end damage, and they're all trying to get in line. But it's very difficult when you got to choose, do you got front end damage or do you got rear end damage? And who wants to lead this group when it's so difficult to find out where that placing is? It's so interesting to just look through the field and see that difference of the lead pack. They're side by side, like I said, with our top 14. You can say 16 really, all there. That of Chad Thornquist looks like he's about to be about another half a lap away from getting the back draft. And nope, he's got it. With that of Joshua Adams following him, they've caught the little draft of this back pack. So that's going to be adding another couple of drivers to a total of 21 drivers attached to this lead pack. And a little bit further back, so that's when you find the 24 as well as the 68 newcomers to the league. They're just trying their best to pick and choose who wants to be leading this group, but they're about to lose the draft as that lead pack now up to 21 drivers. And having more drivers in line means that you can get a little bit more antsy, more aggressive. And speaking of that aggression, Joshua Clark finding a hole on the inside, and he wanted it, picked it, and now he's going to be splitting up. That of Colin Fern from his teammates, that of Dylan Thomas, as well as Tyler Fody. You got to be loving the fact that drivers are recognizing we got to cut and move, get drivers out of the way. But Daniel Martinez is probably still the biggest shocker to me, as he is running in 5th place, showing no signs of slowing down. Even with the visible damage that we can see from the 83, he's still showing the pace to at least be able to help the drivers in front of him. Everyone just recognizing, when do we need to go into pit road and make a pit stop here, as pit road expecting it to get busy in the next 30 laps. So look around a lap one, next 30 laps or so, about a 105 to 110. We might be seeing some drivers think about coming in and maybe doing a splash and go. But with the timing of some of these cautions, it's now giving the drivers little bits of thoughts of maybe we could stretch a little bit further than that. But it certainly is going to be difficult, especially for that of Colin Fern, excuse me. Colin Fern, one of those drivers that's did not pit. He's on much older fuel, so he doesn't have as much fuel as everyone else. Now everyone's getting a little bit mixy. 3 wide action. Further back, Jeff Green trying to figure out if he wants to be making a move and charging forward with some of these drivers further back. With that of Vincent Isabella, as well as seeing them make a move with that of Adams, and they're starting to make that third lane work. Adams is trying to get on the quarter panel of that Kendall Noah player, using some side drafting and making that third lane move just slightly. as Wester Green picking and choosing where he wants to place himself. So we're starting to see that lead pack. When you get to this 3 wide moving action, it's when you start to have your heart just stop. You don't know if one little bump could ruin someone's race. Up front, Tyler Fode, Colin Fern, Dylan Thomas, still your top 3. But on the outside, here he comes, the 95, Joshua Adams. So much pace. And looking through this field, I mean, we got a couple of drivers that are looking for their second win at Daytona for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. But there are certainly a lot more that are looking for their first win here at Daytona for the Grand National Series. And, you know, some of those drivers that are up here, Joshua Adams, one of them, making that third lane work. We're now 3 wide, 3 cars deep, almost 4 cars deep. Gotta be careful. Don't want to make any mistake there. As now moving up, going to be Kendall Noah Player trying to make a move. Packed like sardines, but one slip and you are all scrapped. Don't want to be making any mistakes as we're 3 wide. Tyler Fode, also Colin Fern, as well as Adams. 3 wide for the lead, and it's Fode on the inside. There's more cars on the inside, so they got the space and the timing. Fern's going to go up. He's going to try to get the pole, which is now going to be giving space to that of Gerald Campbell with that of Jeff Green. Major shove in the middle lane as they're now trying to make their dash to the lead point. It's going to be that Gerald Campbell, Jeff Green, as well as that of Josh Robin, as well as Adam. They all fall in line, leaving Fern all on his lonesome. A little bit of a deking move, leaving that of Fern to the outside. The 69 falls back, and he'll have to figure out how to charge his way forward. Back in 13th position is the 69. Beautiful slicing and dicing again for Dylan Thomas. That blinking issue, it's just going to be a looming thing that we got to keep our eye on. If anyone makes a mistake here, another driver that is officially DNF'd and is out of the race, that's going to be that of Brandon Key. Key we saw up front earlier in the race, but got caught up, I believe, in the third big one that we had here tonight, and ruined the chances of that driver's team. As still looking at these drivers, we've got 21 in line in our lead pack, and to go back to 22nd, that's when we've got 3 drivers working together. Ryan Barbary, Hank Steinmiller, Ethan Reasoner, and they've kind of lost the other group of drivers behind them that once were helping. They're trying their best, but they're going to be about a little bit over 8.5 seconds back from this lead pack, from the tail end of the lead pack, almost 11 seconds back from the leader themselves. So a little bit too far back, and especially with not having the freshest car with the damage that they have, they're running about 0.3 slower than the leader, which is going to be costing them so much more time on the long run. They're hoping to just stay on the lead lap just in case a late caution comes out. Race control on the radio saying, hey, let's keep it green. We've been doing a great job at it, as the drivers have done a fabulous job. 2/3 of the race is done, but this is the thing. When you get to this point in stage, the intensity level rises. You gotta pick and choose who's your friend. Who have you noticed that might be one of the fastest cars up front? Because you gotta figure out your allies or enemies. Who do you gotta block? Who do you gotta defend? As we get late in this race, there's not gonna be a lot of space to work with, but there certainly is gonna be a lot of bumping for the later half of this race. It is gonna be a wild one. Gerald Campbell, just by a nose for a second there, was leading, but Fode on the inside still got that of Dylan Thomas. That's 0-3. If Fode's gonna win, it's gonna be getting that help and a major shove from that of Dylan Thomas if he's gonna lead and finish and win this race. That was probably one of the closest runs across the line. You want to know how close Tyler Fode was beating out Gerald Campbell? 0.005 of a second there, as they're still 3 wide here just on lap 83. We're not even on lap 100, and the drivers are getting this intense. Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas, they continue to linger on with that of Joshua Clark behind him, and as well. Martinez, that's your low line. Middle lane is going to be Gerald Campbell, Jeff Green, Josh Robin, and also that's going to be Scott Crump, our pole sitter of the 90, running in 10th position. All in line, and the question that's looming over some of the drivers has to be, when is pit road going to get busy for themselves? As still looking at the drivers currently. Colin Fern was the driver that was on our minds of he'll have to be one of the first ones coming to pit road. He's been out there for over 30 laps, and if he can somehow stretch this for 35 to 40 laps, then got to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident for the rest of the field that they just need to do one more pit stop and they're good. But if Fern has to come in the next 2 laps or so, the rest of the field has to be worried. They're going to have enough to make it to the end. They should be able to at this point. For Colin Fern crossing the line there, the field is, they should be in the window to be able to make it to the end after one more pit stop. Again, that pit stop looking to be hitting these drivers. If you're planning on undercutting, you might be thinking around lap 90. If you're planning on stretching it as far as you can go, drivers might be looking at around lap 105 to 110 is the window for their next pit stop. But I believe these drivers could be about 5 to 8 laps short. But again, we'll keep our eyes on it. Tyler Fode leading the charge with Dylan Thomas. Campbell in 3rd place, leading that outside line. As they're all side by side, no longer going to be 3 wide. And we'll know when drivers are thinking about pit stops, because they'll go from this side-by-side racing to single-file racing very quickly, recognizing, hey, pit road's about to get very busy. Also, drivers will be on their radios and also will be texting one another, letting them know, hey, we're coming in this time by. Don't want to be making any mistakes coming into pit road. But it looks like a little bit of contact in the further back. Drivers that are in that 3rd group making some contact, and looks like it might have been the 24 that got out of sorts. It was the further back pack that were racing hard with one another, and the wreck happened on. It was actually going to be that of Casey Marshall. That was going to be the car being spun into the infield grass, and because it was off the racing surface, no yellow will wave. But for that 09 to Marshall, hope for a better day, and it has now gone up in smoke in just a blink of the eye. Drivers now starting to show signs. Maybe pit road could be the next stop for these drivers. Is that outside line? It's kind of dispersing from where it once was. Everyone getting in line, and it might be that window I was talking about round if you wanted to undercut lap 90, and if you're trying to stretch it out a little bit further than that. These drivers think about lap 90. I mean, they're getting closer and closer to that window for themselves. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the Elite Racing Network. My name is Sam Dyer. With me, running productions, is that of Ryan Gavel. It is the Signing Day Sports 300 here at Daytona, and the first race of the 2021 B season that kicks off the start of practically all the seasons that we're going to be seeing for the 2021 B season. Cup cars have their starting race next week. We saw last week it was all speed week, qualifying, speed traps, duels. It was all there for the Cup cars, and it all has been set up for tomorrow night. I mean, excuse me, not tomorrow night, but Wednesday night. Excuse me on that. Wednesday night is when the Cup guys will be racing. Got my days shuffled on me. It's been a long night for us up here in the booth. 88 laps have been ran. Tyler Fode and Dylan Thomas, they've been leading most of stage 3 here as we race to the end of this thing. But man, has it been a long one for these drivers. As another driver getting a little bit out of sorts, Ryan Barbary. Looks like he got himself a little bit loose, touching the apron, coming out of turn number 4 for the 46, but holds on. He's part of that group that has Hank Steinmiller, John Biager, as well as that of Ethan Reisner. Those 4 cars were trying to catch up to this lead pack, but that little bit of a slip up going to be hurting them, and they really don't have a car that can lead this group because of the damage that they all have. Back up to the lead group, though. They are still getting frisky once again. They calmed down for about 5 laps, and now we're right back to 2-3 wide racing. Thought maybe, hey, it was time to cool down. I think they all just recognized, hey, maybe we don't want to wreck each other, getting a little bit too aggressive. And as a group, they all calmed down for a second, but now they're right back into the max. These drivers here tonight have had 4 cautions coming out. We've had 3 big ones, 1 little small wreck that finished off stage number 1. We have had 3 big ones that have had anywhere from 5 to 20 cars involved. Right now, our lead pack, it is full of 21 drivers, and touched on our first 2 big ones. The first one we had practically our top 28 all side by side. You could just sense the aggression level around lap 8 that brought out that yellow. And then through, we saw our second big one where once again our top 20 got side by side, got aggressive. That then took out some more drivers. And our third big one was a little bit of internet issues. Also seeing drivers being caught up on the apron that brought out our third big one. And oh no, Dylan Thomas rubbing with Jeff Green, able to hold on for himself. But for a second there, you thought it was all over for this lead pack. What a save by that 0-3 as they're still 3 wide for the lead. Tyler Cody doesn't have his friend. Oh no! Vincent Isabella, Adams, they gotta hold on for themselves. Gerald Campbell, Jeff Green, as well as Scott the Crump in the middle pack. But oh, holding on they did. And almost a wreck we saw. For a lap there, we saw 2 different incidences, and you can just sense it on the drivers. It's been a long one for us, about 91 laps, but it's an even longer one for the drivers. I mean, usually when you attack Daytona, you go to lap 100 where drivers are getting antsy for the end of it, or even just race to lap 80, but 120 laps, 300 miles of super speedway racing where you are knuckle to knuckle, bumper to bumper. You are right next to the next driver at all times. These drivers start to feel that tension, and your focus might drift for a second. If it drifts, you see moments like that where drivers might have a little bit of a hold on moment for a second, and they did a great job of it, holding on, still in line. It's Tyler Fody, Dylan Thomas on the inside, still holding strong, but it's that of Gerald Campbell and Jeff Green. They're doing their best. Side by side, still going on for our top 12. But it's really from about 13th on back, led by that Colin Fern. Also, you could say Kendall Noah player on the outside. They're kind of all in relax mode. They're seeing the fact that our top, 11 are willing to get aggressive, make some bold moves that almost brought out the big one. But it's from Fern, for Brusinette, Burrell, Weeks, others, all just in line, waiting for when they either need to make a pit stop. But if you're in line like this, you're kind of in a safe mode. You're saving your fuel from being in the draft. You're now anywhere from, 5, 6 on throttle to 3/4 on throttle. So you're letting off. You're not burning up your complete fuel. It's allowing you to save enough to maybe stretch it. But Colin Fern, he's going to be our biggest driver to watch out for. He's been out there for 41 laps. He's paced for 2 of our cautions. He has just been lingering now in this spot of, does he want to think about coming into pit road? And if he does come into pit road, does he have any friends that are willing to come in and help? Some of the biggest movers so far up front, that of Dylan Thomas. We talked about him, qualified in 31st position up to 2nd, as well as you look back to that of Joshua Clark, qualified back in 36th position and is up to 5th, up to 6th, excuse me, is swapping back and forth there. Vincent Isabella qualified in 32nd position, battling for the top 10 spot. But drivers that we had seen qualify well that are just out of this race. I mean, Jacob Adams qualified in 4th. He's out of this thing. We're only down to our final 31 drivers that are on the lead lap. But we're about to see if we stay green and the drivers don't think about pitting here in the next 10 laps, our lead drivers are going to come up to a pack of around 6 to 7, maybe 8. I'm recounting, I believe it is a pack of 6 that are going to be trying to make sure they stay out of the way of our lead lap drivers, as they're about 12 seconds off as our leaders to this end of the lead lap team being led by that of Zach Evans. And Zach Evans has had himself a whirl of a day. He was challenging up in the top 15 at one moment, but has fallen back. He's got the 24 behind him, with that of David Tooker as well as Dustin Dorr. Goodman's involved in this. Also Brent Jones involved. Haven't really talked about Brent Jones that much. He qualified back in 42nd position, was not able to put down a time, and found himself currently running in 31st position. Hey, a gain is still a gain here at Daytona. You don't want to be finishing last, and you're already seeing some drivers that are going to be finishing in that position. Back up front, Tyler Fody, Dylan Thomas doing their thing with Jareth Campbell, Jeff Green side by side, as we're inching closer and closer to 100 laps into this race. It's when drivers have to think, do they or won't they be able to make it to the end of this race? We've already seen Fern. He's shown that you can go at least 44 laps. And it's not thought about coming into pit road, but that's being in the draft. Tyler Fody, Gerald Campbell, they have not really truly been in the draft during this whole entire stint, which means they have been full throttle all the way through this course since we've been green 35 laps ago. That means that they have been dealing with not saving fuel. Everyone else behind has been letting off at times, saving fuel gradually throughout this run. That means they can go a little bit further. Drivers are talking about fuel on where they're at. Also talking about times for the drivers that are further back that I touched on, being led by Zach Evans back in 25th position, all the way back to 31st. Drivers thinking about when do they want to get out of the way for our leaders, and also who wants to go into pit road. Because now we're on lap 99. Colin Fern calling it in. He's coming in this time, going 47 laps. He was able to go 47. He's only got 10 laps. 10 laps is the difference between what Fern's window is and the rest of the field. That means they're going to be 10 laps short. And Fern had the help of 2 pace laps, 2 pace cautions to try to save fuel. As going to be 3 wide action. Jeff Green, Crump, contact just slightly between Crump and Thomas there. Fern comes into pit road all on his lonesome. I would have been kind of okay if some of these front runners, they'd come in and worked as a team. They might have been able to build up some speed, especially if you start trickling down and taking away more drivers from this lead pack. You can gain time very quickly, but everyone's sticking together, hoping that no yellow comes. Gerald Campbell's falling in front of that of Tyler Fody. Crump's on the high line. High line starting to disperse. With Fern coming into pit road, I think everyone's starting to recognize we cannot make it. Pit road is about to get busy here. Starting from now until we get to lap 110. Drivers gonna have to pick and choose when they want to come into pit road for themselves. Colin Fern got himself in pit road, got himself topped off with a little bit of tires as well. Gonna be back in 24th position, hoping to get back up to speed, be a part of that little small pack that's being led from Zach Evans in 25th position. And drivers now up front discussing, hey, you want to give each other a little bit more space here or there. Gotten the call, 28 into pit road this time. More drivers calling in. They're coming in this time. And this is one of the moments where things are about to get intense. We've seen already some of our front runners make mistakes coming into pit road, sliding through their pit box. But this is one of the funner parts of Daytona. Coming into pit road is a huge gaggle of cars fanning out into pit lane. And you got to figure out how to slow down. Don't get caught speeding. Don't make contact with other drivers you're coming into pit road with. And don't slide through your pit box. So much to worry about and focus on as you're coming into the pits. Looking at all the different drivers that are coming into pit road, and some might be thinking about just topping off with fuel. That's what Chad Thornquist is doing, just getting fuel only, while a couple of other drivers thinking about getting some tires as well. Our lead pack was seeing the drivers picking and choosing when they're going to come in. They have now caught up to the drivers that are about to be put down a lap down, and they are extremely off pace and holding up the lead lap drivers. Contact now going to be made. Is it going to be Adams into the rear bumper of some drivers that are going to be slicing and dicing? It is dangerous up in the lead pack. 3 wide as we're trying to get by slower vehicles. Oh no, right in the middle of pit cycle, the lead pack comes up to trouble. Contact's going to be made for the driver further back. I believe that was Brent Jones that got into the outside wall. I take that back. That was actually Marshall. Both drivers running the pink and purple and white machines. Vincent Isabella finding himself cutting through the traffic a lot better, and now going to be challenging for the lead on the inside. He's got Crump on his back bumper. This is great to see, pushing back Fody and Thomas. But for Thomas and Fody, this might be the best thing for them. Fall back. You got a lot more space to work with when you're this far back, but you got some more drivers that might not be thinking about pit road here. So you got drivers that are clean. They can carry the speed of the draft. And the drivers that were heavily damaged earlier that just didn't have a lead car to really for them to push. Now they're in mixing, and you got lap cars and lead lap cars mingled in with one another. As drivers still making their calls, they're coming into pit road, trying to single file out the best that they can. Here comes another cluster of cars, being led by that of Jeff Green. Oh, a little bit of screeching from Kettle Noah player. Gerald Campbell as well. Whew. Whoa, up, no contact. Gonna be made between the 8. Oh, no. Contact between that of, I believe, Josh Robin for sure. And the other driver, I believe, yeah, it's Zach Evans, who's just going to drive past because he missed his pit box because of the contact. Still waiting for our top 6 to come into pit road. Vincent Isabella, Scott Crump as well. That of Adams, Fody, Thomas, and that of David Westergreen. Into pit road, it looks like they're starting to slow down. He's going to be Fody, Westergreen, and Thomas working together. Woo, Westergreen. Got to slow down there, bud. The grass is not your friend. Now our front 3. They got to pick it. They got to make sure they stay on the inside. Well, they're going to cut through the middle. They're calling it now. They want to go into pit road this time by, which means they have to get through all this traffic, which is dangerous. Gerald Campbell going to be having a little bit of a mix-up, getting back onto the throttle. Vincent Isabella is calling his coming in, calling his shot. Scott Crump calling he's coming in. And I would assume Adam's going to be following suit. This is your money stop for all of these drivers. 3 wide fanning out into pit road. And so far, no one has been caught with major penalties into pit road, but certainly we've seen a couple of drivers sliding to their pit box, losing time. As we are coming to the end, less than 20 laps to go and your final pit stops are happening. Do you even think about staying and getting tires? Some drivers taking 2, some completely topping off with fuel just in case we go into overtime. And now coming out of pit road is all those drivers, but the ones that were further back got up to speed the quickest. It's Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas. They are up to speed, and the two of them were able to pull away. David Westergreen could not follow them at the pace that they were going. But also here comes Jeff Green, as well as Kendall Noah Player, and a steam for themselves as they're coming up to the back bumper of David Westergreen. These drivers have to pick who is in the lead of this pack, because if you're in the front three of a pack that's coming up to our leaders, you still have a shot to win this thing. Back up to speed, Crump, Adams, Vincent Isabella, they're up to speed. They're trying to get as fast as possible. They're about 7 miles per hour slower than what Fode and Dylan Thomas are running. What is the difference between a team of 3 and a team of 2? Dylan Thomas of the 03, he has been on Fode's back bumper since the middle of stage 2, and he has not thought about leaving that back bumper at all. And he's got to hope that he's got enough engine and enough push to get himself up, and he has done it. They've caught up to that of Crump, Adams, and also Isabella. To the outside, oh, contact! It's a Fode! Contact! That absolutely, what a move by Fode to make contact into Isabella. And it's going to be putting Fode and Thomas back up front, but it's going to be hurting Vincent Isabella, following all the way back to 11th and more, as he's being passed by the lead pack, and he's so off pace, he might lose the draft of the lead pack that's driving through. Oh my goodness. Frustrations are mounting. There is going to be a lot of talking and arguing after this race, after that contact. And now the question is, how much damage did that give to Tyler Fode's front bumper with that contact? It looks like Isabella still attached to the back bumper of this pack. He did get up to speed, but he went from being up and challenging for third to now back in 15th. And a mix and mingle of drivers up here of who's going to make the late move. We've seen drivers that have already won here. Jeff Green won back in the 2020 middle of the season Daytona race. We've also seen Tyler Fode. He won earlier this season to start off the SMB Productions Grand National Series back in the 2021 A season. That's some of the only drivers that have won already that are trying to become a second-time winner here at Daytona. But who could get it done? 11 laps to go. When we hit the line, 10 laps to go. And looking at the field, it's our top 15 that are all still here. And looking at some of the drivers that are up here, we've got also that of Elma, who's going to be another driver. Trevor Elma going to be that driver in the 29. He's looking for his second win also. He won back in the 2020 A start of the season Daytona race. And he's going to be pushing that of Matthew Weeks. Weeks leading the charge of the 3-wide racing. They need one more driver if they want to charge. Actually, that's going to be Vincent Isabella that's on his back bumper. Oh, these drivers all getting frisky on how they want to attack. It's Tyler Fode, David Westergreen, side by side. 10 laps to go on the backstretch as they go through turns 3 and 4. What's looming over everyone's head? Can they make it to the white flag? If we get to the white flag, all the gloves are off. It's all about getting to the checkers and to the finish line. But if we have a wreck, a caution comes within our final 5 laps, of this race, we're going to overtime. Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas, they have been on the inside, powering along almost for over 60 laps. It has been incredible to watch these drivers just working in tandem and always finding a way to be up front in the inside line. But on that high groove, we've seen it shuffle where drivers want to be. But some cars we have not seen up here, such as the 29 of Trevor, as well as that of Ethan Burrell. We've not seen these drivers up front very much here tonight, but they're going to try their best to try to make a late dash move to win this race. 8 laps to go. And still looking at some of the other drivers that just could not finish out this race. There's a long list of them. Damage has occurred. Drivers making mistakes on pit stops that have cost them shots for a win. It's now down to our top 15. And already going to be seen that of the 0-3 pushing along, trying his best to keep up the speed if possible. And for these front 15, they don't want to see a yellow coming out. And that's exactly what some of these drivers further back want to see happen. Get a yellow, more cars wreck out, more positions we can grab. 7 laps to go here for the Signing Day Sports 300 here in Daytona. 300 laps they were supposed to run here. We'll see if they need to do more than that. Tyler Bodie, as well as Dylan Thomas on the inside, Scott Crump, Kendall Noah Player, and Daniel Martinez. Daniel Michael Martinez all the way back in 9th place. What a charge we've seen from this 83. He lost his front clip, but he didn't lose the engine. And that's what's kept the 83 still in this race and still with a shot to help someone else win. I don't know with that damage if he's really got a shot to win this thing. But coming across the line, 6 laps to go here for the Signing Day Sports 300. We've had our stage 1 that had the big one. Stage 2 had a couple of big ones land. But it's come down to this, the money stop. 5-10 laps to go for some of these drivers. And it certainly has sliced and diced some of the drivers that we thought maybe would have been favorites. We saw Josh Robin and Gerald Campbell. Those were drivers that we thought maybe had a shot. They're back in 17th and 18th, over 14 and a half seconds back from the leader. They're too far back. There's just not enough time, nor do they have enough help to get back up with this lead pack. Tyler Fody and Thomas, they continue. I mean, that's a major run. But across the line, 5 laps to go. We're in the window. If a caution comes out from here to the end, if we do not get to the white flag, their caution comes out. We are going into overtime for this field. But right now, it's Tyler Fody and also David Westergreen leading the charge with that of Thomas and Adams following back. Going low, we're going to be getting out of the way. That's going to be the 19 of David Tooker, who really never had a shot. He was part of that second major wreck that happened. And for David Tooker, he's just in cruise control, trying to get in as many positions as possible for himself. Okie dokie. 4 laps to go. Who's going to do the do-si-do and try to force it 3 wide? Looking in further back of the field, might be seeing some thoughts looming. It's going to be Clark. Hoping to have some type of help from probably that of the 11 of Weeks, but just they need a little bit more space and time. And we're starting to see drivers using the bumpers a lot more, packing in closer each and every lap. And the closer they get, the more chances of them blowing their engines late in this race. If you make the move too soon to get on someone's back bumper and just start pushing, you can ruin your race. 3 laps to go. Moving to the 3rd lane. It's going to be Vincent Isabella with a little bit of a tap to the 29, but they hold on. Can't be making those types of mistakes, especially through the tri-oval. It's when your car is at one of its lightest points. Isabella, who we saw get practically tossed by Tyler Fody on the outside, trying to make a move. Our 2021 A Trucks champion, Isabella, trying his best to make the move forward. Now going to be moving up. Ethan Burrell going to be leading that 3rd group, and they've got 3 cars. And with how small this pack is, 3 cars might be just enough. But we're expecting someone to move up into that 3rd lane. Will it be Westergreen or will it be Adam? 2 laps to go. If we get the white flag, this thing races to the end. But if we get a caution under this lap, we will be then going into overtime. 3 wide for the lead. Will it be Tyler Fody, Westergreen, Ethan Burrell, or will someone give him the wrong bump and give themselves a shot to win this thing? 15 drivers in line, set up for a shot. But yellow comes out. We are going into overtime late. It's going to be Hatch spinning for that of the 14. And it was back with the second pack that were trying to catch the leaders. Contact in the tri-oval. And Hatch wrecks as we were a half a lap away from a 3-wide potential finish. And not going to be getting it. We're going to overtime, and if we're overtime, ladies and gentlemen, kind of similar to what we just saw there. We're gonna have 2 laps for a green, white, checkered, and for the drivers, we go green. If we get to the white flag, we race it to the end. But if a yellow comes out in that first lap, then we will be going into our second attempt. We have 3 attempts if needed. If we do the same thing again, we go into our third attempt. Then we have to see if the yellow comes out before the white flag in that third attempt. The race ends under yellow, and it's wherever the field stands once the yellow flag waved. But if we get to the white flag, like I said, gloves are off, anything happens. No yellow flags coming out when the white is up in the air. It's all about who crosses the line first. Also, something we haven't really touched on all night because I haven't really seen anyone try it, but you cannot pass under the double yellow. If we see anyone trying to make a pass under the double yellow, that will be sent to the admins as review, and there's a potential chance of penalties after the race. We're going into overtime, and it is going to get dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've been loving the show here for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. It's the 2021 B season. It is started, and we're already going into overtime to start out this new season. Big thanks to all of the major sponsors that we've had and into overtime. We got to give a big thanks to a new sponsor for me. That is Blue Egg Marketing. Welcome to overtime, Blue Egg Marketing, as some of the best of marketing departments for small businesses. And for you, they're there for you to help with marketing departments. Go look up Blue Egg Marketing on Google. Go find them out. It's the Blue Egg that you can go find. And a big thanks to Blue Egg Marketing for joining us on the Elite Racing League and the Elite Racing Network to give all of you the best show possible. We almost got to see 3 wide come into the white flag, which would have been dramatic, but we now stack it all up. Those drivers that were outside, didn't really have a shot outside of the top 15, they are now back into this race. Some of them might have a little bit of damage from that incident that happened with Hatch that brought out our yellow late, but we'll do a quick rundown of where the drivers are as lights are still on. We're getting ready for the lights to go off for our first attempt at overtime in green, white, checkered racing. You want to give notes, some of the drivers did come into pit road, but this is where the drivers lie in the top 20. You got Tyler Fody in the lead with David Westergreen in second. Dylan Thomas going to be in third place with that of Ethan Burrell in fourth. Joshua Adams going to be in fifth place with Vincent Isabel in sixth. Seventh is going to be Scott Crump. Eighth going to be the 38 of Jeff Green. Ninth going to be that of Joshua Clark. And 10th going to be Trevor in the 29. And looking at some of the other drivers in 11th, Matthew Weeks, Kendall Noah Player going to be in 12th. Chad Thornquist in 13th. Wyatt Nettle going to be in 14th with that of Personette in 15th. Josh Robin in 16th. That of Christopher Morris going to be in 17th with Daniel Martinez going to be in 18th with Gerald Campbell. And 19th, Hank Steinmiller in 20th position as everyone is getting stacked up. Lights about to be off. Lights are off, actually. We're about to go green in our first attempt at overtime. Whew. Drivers. I don't know if the drivers are ready. I hope you in the audience, you're ready for this. It's going to get crazy, hectic, wild, unnerving for some. But it looks like drivers that had to come back into pit road, get some service done for themselves was Thana Martinez. And further back from 19th back, coming in for fresh tires. I like that call. They were already back in the top 25. So come into the pits, get some service done so you've got the best shot to go out there. Let's wet our whistle with some water and get ready for some crazy action. We've already ran over 300 miles here tonight for the Signing Day Sports 300. Pace car lights are off. The season has started, but who will win the first race here at Daytona? It's going to be the pace car finally coming off. Tyler Fode has control. He's got his man that he wants behind him. It's Thomas. Green flag already up in the air. A little bit of contact, a little bit of shuffling. They're already on top of one another, trying to side draft to get the most speed possible as we are green. Our first attempt at overtime as we head into turn number 1. Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas, as well as that of the 95 of that of Adams, doing their best to see who's going to get the win. If we get the white flag, we race to the end. But if we get a caution, we go into attempt number 2. Adams going to be going to the high side, looking for a little bit of help from that of Westergreen. Coming on the inside, though, here comes those drivers, Ethan Burrell and others. Also, Crump trying to come with a lot of steam. Where can they place themselves? Through 3 and 4, a little bit of contact, 95 gets loose, he's spinning and already wrecking up front. There's no yellow, we are still green, coming to the white flag as it is going to end here. We're on the white flag. It's going to be that of Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas. Green flag waves as we are in the white flag. We race it to the end. No yellow for that wreck coming out turn number 4. It's up to Crump. Also, that of Weeks. Can they make a move on the front 2 that have been dominating all night long? It's been Tyler Fode and Dylan Thomas. They have been on the inside line working with one another. 29 going to be going on the apron. Could be hurting the drivers, but here comes a massive run. They're 2, 3 wide behind. It's Crump. It's Weeks on the outside. Matthew Weeks in the 11. He's trying to make the move for a win here. Side drafting with Crump, but he doesn't have enough space. Fode, he's holding strong so far as they're coming out of turn 4. It is going to be wrecking behind. But Tyler Fode, back-to-back, won the 2021A Daytona and now the 2021B Daytona race here for the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. The Signing Day Sports 300, we went into overtime. We only needed one attempt, and it was Tyler Fode getting it done. Congratulations to Tyler Fode, Dylan Thomas, finishing 1-2. They worked together with perfection all night long. Matthew Weeks coming up just short, needed a little bit more time, some space. But the shuffling that went on coming to the white flag was truly what shattered any attempt for these drivers if they wanted a shot to win. Whew, drivers certainly had some run-ins with one another. It's Tyler Fode just cruising now. Dylan Thomas going to be heading to pit road. Going to be getting some congratulations. But Tyler Fode, as well as Dylan Thomas, Matthew Weeks, we'll be talking to our top 3 after some celebrations. As Tyler Fode gets to the line, they'll get to burn it down for the 40. What a run Tyler Fode had here tonight, leading the most laps here tonight and just continued to dominate. He had the 0-3 on his back bumper, and those guys worked together so well all night long. There were plenty of big runs that we got to see. The potential of almost a 3-wide finish there at the end, but the late caution and the wreck coming out of turn 4 to the white flag gave Tyler Fode and Dylan Thomas just enough space to hold on the rest of the field. As the rest of the time Tyler Fode's burning down, we'll take a look at our final results of how the drivers finished. This is going to be unofficial because there's potential shots of drivers being put in different places after penalties. But your unofficial results coming in. Tyler Fode going to be getting the win with Dylan Thomas in 2nd place. Matthew Weeks in 3rd. Scott Crump in 4th. Jeff Green able to get a 5th place finish. Ethan Burrell in 6th. Trevor Elma going to be able to get a 7th place finish with that. Vincent Isabella, Hank Steinmiller, and Joshua Personette finishing out your top 10. Looking at the rest of the drivers, I mean, you got favorites that you thought maybe were going to finish up front. Adams, Spun coming out of turn number 4, coming to the white flag. He'll finish in 21st position. Westergreen, 24th position. But man, what a run it was here tonight for all of these drivers. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to mute. We're going to get the drivers in the waiting room, as it looks like they're trickling in now. But Oh my goodness. What a race it was here tonight. We actually have Matthew Weeks in the waiting, so we're going to bring in Matthew Weeks, third place runner, into the booth, as tonight was a ridiculous night. And for the 11, he certainly gave it a try. Matthew, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
What a race it was here tonight. Thought maybe we're going to finish 3 wide, but a late caution put us into ourselves into a green white checker situation. I know there's not much else you could have done, but what could you have tried there late? Maybe a different strategy, or what else could you have done there in that last green white checkered?
Oh, nothing. I did everything I could. I know I got damage from that last wreck coming to the white flag because I just bulldozed my way through everybody. I think that affected me a lot. Then that 3 wide down the backstretch, I just needed Ethan a bigger push and not be 3 wide, and I think we would have had it.
Yeah, I mean, you put on a great showing for yourself. I mean, you really were cutting through the field late, but what was your ultimate strategy and what was the mindset coming into tonight's race? A 300-mile course, it was a long one.
When I come to Daytona every elite season, it's always a start, and I just come for one thing and just to win. That's all I wanted to do, and I came close. I mean, it was there, so.
I mean, Matthew, it's the start of the season. How are you feeling? You're now at third place finisher. Great points day for yourself. How are you now feeling moving forward in the rest of the season?
I'm feeling good. I feel real good about this season. I mean, it's a way to start it off. That's what I needed. So I just want to keep this momentum going, try to get a couple wins here. I'm ready.
I mean, great run here tonight, Weeks, and we'll now throw it up to you for any shout outs you've got.
Shout out to Josiah and the Greater Good for sponsoring my car, man. I appreciate it. You know, Jordan Owens hooking me up with that. All the Pro Edge guys, you know, my girlfriend, family, everyone watching and supporting us, man. And the elite guys, you guys up in the booth, appreciate it, man. Everything y'all do.
That's Matthew Weeks in the 11, getting a third place finish here tonight. And what a way to start out the season with some great points. Good luck going next week.
All right, man. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
And for Dylan Thomas, we're just going to bring him up into the booth if possible. We're looking to see. There he is. As we'll bring that of Dylan Thomas, the man who pushed Tyler Fody into the win. Dylan, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
10-4.
I mean, perfection, I could call it. What you and Fody did all night long, holding strong on the inside. Was there any thought of possibly making a move to try to win that race?
I thought about it, but I didn't want to get both of us wrecked, so I just committed to his back bumper and gonna live with second, and we'll get it one day.
It was a great run, and one of those things where you can always say, hey, you owe me one later on. At what point did you and Fody recognize? I mean, it just seemed like when the cautions came out, when they did, you guys were always placed in line with one another. Was there any point where you guys thought, maybe we got to change things up after being up front as long as you guys were?
I kept getting hot, but about I'd say 4 laps before that caution, I had him start leaving me about a quarter lane on the bottom so I get air to the nose, and that really just solidified everything. I was going to stay hooked to his bumper.
An awesome run it was here tonight, Dylan. And the start of a season, second place, solid day of points. How are you feeling moving forward into the rest of the season?
Oh, I'm feeling great right now. Hope I can carry that on. I struggle at mile and a half, but we'll see if we can get a little better.
And we hope so. Well, Dylan, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I got to thank Mike M Designs for the badass looking ride there. I got to thank Jack Ritz for keeping me sane on the roof, and all the guys over at Lake Norman Motorsports.
That's Dylan Thomas getting a second place finish, pushing Tyler Fody to the win. Congratulations on the second place finish and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank y'all.
And now into victory lane, the man that dominated up front. He had the help from the 0-3. Tyler Fody up in the booth. Congratulations, Tyler. You sweep the beginning of Daytona for both the 2021A and the 2021B here at Daytona. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Lost for words right now. It's unbelievable. I just can't thank the team enough. Incredible drive from everyone there to get this result.
I mean, Tyler, it was almost, I kept on saying perfection, the way that you and Dylan just worked with one another. It seemed like once you guys got to the inside, leading that inside lane, no one really had a shot to pass you guys. Was there any point where you guys were feeling nervous being up front that someone was going to make some type of move on you guys there late, right before that green white checker came out?
Yeah, I'd say the last 20 laps leading up to that, we were on edge. I got to give it to Dylan. I mean, this win is all from him. The entire race, I don't know what he was doing, but I couldn't push for more than 2 laps. It didn't seem like the rest of the field could maintain the distance and keep the runs going like he could. So all the credit to him. He did fantastic, kept us leading on the bottom. And yeah, late in the going there, we had D West running the middle, leading for us too, and it was looking really good. And we got going 3 wide, and we were all strapping in, looking. I mean, it was going to be a wild finish, regardless. We got the yellow there though, and just restacked them. And yeah, I mean, props to Dylan again. He didn't have to stay with me. That was his decision to just stay tandem. There was a big run coming on the top that we were thinking about blocking, but I mean, credit to him. He stayed with me, and we got the 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing for us to watch up in the booth. And Tyler, now with this win, I mean, does that pressure of worrying about the playoffs and going in, does that help now going into the rest of the season?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we're still going to go out every week and try and win, but it's definitely something to keep in the back pocket now, knowing that we've got a spot waiting for us. I feel better now too, because I'm unfortunately going to be out of town all next week, so I'll be missing the Cup and the Xfinity races for week 2. So this is something to hang my hat on going into the off week for me. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season.
It was an awesome race to watch, Tyler. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I mean, massive shout out to the Lake Norman team. Dylan Thomas, like I said, David Westergreen was having a drive of his life up there, leading laps. We all got incredible stage points. It could have been any one of us, so huge shout out to him. He got caught up in some unfortunate stuff there. And then Hank and Barberry, too, made their appearance at the end of stage 2. That was pretty awesome, having all 5 of us up there. Hank and Barberry going 1-2. So, yeah, huge shout out to all of them. Shout out to you guys. Sam, I know coming on late here doing this. Appreciate it. Big thanks to Days Gone By, Vintage Apparel, and Blue Egg Marketing for coming back on board. Really awesome to get them in victory lane right off the bat. And yeah, we'll be looking to keep this going here as the weeks go on.
Well, Tyler Fode, he won back in the 2021 A season to start out the SMRI Productions Grand National Tour, and he does it once again for the 2021 B season. Congratulations, Tyler, and have a great rest of your night, and good luck whenever we see you back in Texas.
Yep, thank you.
Tyler Fode, what a run he had here tonight. And for the rest of the field, amazing run for themselves. Can't believe that just like that, we're over. We ran 124 laps, and it was Tyler Fode getting the win with his teammate helping him and pushing him along, that of Dylan Thomas. We got to see a lot of teamwork, which was expected here at Daytona, but a lot of drivers have a lot to come back and rebound from. Tonight's race certainly is going to be a lot of work for some of the drivers for finishing 20th on back. You're now starting in the hole. We'll see how well they can rebound going into our next couple of races. Again, a lot more racing going on. We got the modified tours tomorrow night, and then the Cup guys, they're starting off their 2021 B season at Daytona. We had Speed Week last week, and then on that, for the rest of the week, a lot more racing going on here on the Elite Racing Network. Exciting for start to that of the SMRI Productions Grand National Series. We'll see how it continues on. We go to Homestead next week. We'll see you then. For myself, Sam Dyer, and for Ryan Gavel, have a great rest of your night.